Great.
Hey everyone, it's so good to see you. I feel like, did we see each other on Thursday? I feel like it's been a long time. It's good to see everyone though.
Maybe it was just Laura. I
Maybe
don't
it
know
was.
if Lisa was on the line.
I wasn't on Thursday.
Oh, that's right. And you were in recovery. It's good to see everyone. So let's do a quick win update. And then we're going to get into this amazing lesson on, helping us
Nice.
realize
Yeah.
our goals. I love this lesson. It's so good. Laura, why don't you start us off with a win?
My win is that I'm not as smart as I thought I was. And I think through me is where I'm settling, and had an extraordinary experience yesterday. I told God, I said, I thought I was doing this right. The bank count says I'm not. So I need help. At least 2-3 people today knew. I got
Uh-huh.
5. I got 5.
Oh, that's
wow.
awesome. Congratulations. Well,
It was-
that's beautiful. That's such a lesson in surrender.
Yeah.
Lisa, tell us your wins.
I was just telling Laura that my bees came in a little bit early, but they're here. And I don't know, Kathy, if you knew I was waiting for bees, so I have
I
a
didn't.
box, one hive. I call it a hive. I guess Laura calls it a box. I don't have the terminology down yet. I just know they're gentle and I love them. So, and I have another win. So I am trying to get my project management professional certification, PMP. And I just made it through last week, PMP boot camp, which was ridiculously fast moving. Like we went through a 500-page book in was it 4 days, and it was just nuts. So my win is I made it through that. My application to Project Management Institute was accepted to take the exam, and my exam is on the 13th.
Beautiful.
So I only have like 3 weeks to study this material.
You have a whole 3 weeks to study it.
I have a whole 3 weeks. It's like more than I could ever need.
I know, isn't that great? That's so beautiful. Yeah. Well, there's all the Joseph Murphy stories of him helping students become straight A students, and some of the quotes in there you can go through, but the basic idea is I already know everything I need to know. I recall it with perfect clarity. All is well. It's just that mindset going in. That's so exciting. Right. Congratulations. Thank Kathy, you. So good to see you.
Nice to see you. I'm so excited. I have this wonderful client who was gone for 3 weeks to Australia, and she's now back. Nice. So we're back working on that. And then my cousin's going to start taking it. So I have 2 new clients, which is really
Congratulations. Fun. That's so awesome.
It's so
Congratulations. That's so huge.
It really keeps you in the mindset, doesn't it?
It does, right?
When you teach this, and you get away from it even for a couple of days, and you come back and you do one of these lessons, you go, oh, this is so good. I forgot all this,
I know.
So
no, that's great. And Joni's here. Hey, Joni, what's your win?
Hey guys. Hey, my bandwidth, my Wi-Fi bandwidth is really poor, so I have to keep my camera off. I don't even know if you can hear me. It keeps disconnecting.
We can hear you the best we've ever heard you. I mean, sounded like something usually Abraham we can't hear you very well.
Oh, thank you. So it's amazing to see your wonderful faces. That's a big win in and of itself. So just things are just progressing. I kind of think of Earl Nightingale and the progression of a worthy goal. So things are just progressing. I'll say that.
That's great.
Yeah, and so I'm just really happy to be on this call with you all tonight, because my schedule's been hectic. So
good.
And Peggy, you look beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
You must have gone to Park City recently.
I did. Got my hair cut. It was it had been 3 months. So she did a lot of chopping, but yes, thank you.
Well, you
So,
all look beautiful. Not
Thank
just
you.
Katie.
It's great to hear your voice.
yeah, it's good to
Thank you,
be
Kathy.
here.
It's so wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Well, I have a win.
Oh, good.
Excuse me. I'm cleaning up my office. Kathy, I thought about you. I have piles and books, and this has been on my on my agenda for a bit now. And I keep thinking of Bob talking about, you know, order is heaven's first law. You know, Thomas Troward famously said that, and I'm sure it's in the Bible. So my floor does not look super orderly, but it is. And excuse me. So I'm in the process of cleaning my office. I'm also in the process of doing some new projects I'm working on. And I'm really excited about that. And I've been really diligent about my physical fitness, and I feel really proud of that. So that's been really, really good.
Can you
So,
still ski? Are you still skiing?
believe it or not, yes, we are. We're in the middle of a blizzard, right, Laura, right now?
Really?
Yeah, still having snow. So there's two Deer Valley and Snow Basin are still open until Sunday. So I'll probably get another couple of days in, but I'm transitioning over to cycling because that's my next outdoor activity. And so I have a Peloton. So I've been working on that, but I've also been working with a personal trainer virtually. And I'm just really proud of myself. My knee's been a little achy, but I'm, dealing with that and just feeling so good.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Takes a
That's
lot of
fabulous.
self-control.
Yeah.
It does. And I had this real epiphany Saturday. We went up to Powder Mountain, which now Reed Hastings, who's the former CEO of Netflix, recently retired, just bought a major ownership in Powder Mountain. I know. Look at Laura. She's my neighbor. So I don't know what that means. But it's this kind of old school, incredibly beautiful, picturesque, not crowded, not corporatized mountain. It's one of the few left in the United States and certainly in Utah. So anyway, we went up there with our neighbors who are in the ski industry, a little bit older than us. And I'm always so proud of myself that I ski. And I'll be 63 this June. And I bike and I hike and I do all of that. And to me, that means that's a big deal to me. But we went up there, and the adaptive ski program from the University of Utah was there with these two really high-tech, I call them buckets. My ex-husband used to ski in one 30 years ago. He has a neuromuscular disease. And these are so high-tech and so high-touch. And there is a point to the story that I think each of you can relate to, which is my friend Jim knows these guys through the ski industry. And they were up there bringing coffee and donuts to the lift operators at Powder just to thank them, in these bucket skis. But the skis from 30 years ago, when Artemis, my former husband, was skiing, compared to these skis, it's like night and day. And what they've done is so clever. They have the engineering students at the University of Utah building these adaptive ski apparatus things. And they're so cool that even a quadriplegic can ski and have an experience of skiing in one of these. I mean, the skis actually get up on edge underneath this bucket, and they can do that through this blowpipe where they blow to make it turn to the right and inhale to make it turn to the left. And there is a person tethering them. But our friends Kim and Jim got in the buckets, and it also has a joystick. So if someone's a paraplegic, they can use it. And I was just so inspired that people are spending their time and money, to help people who would never have that experience that I am grateful for. But frankly, I do take for granted that I just hike over there, throw my skis down, and start cruising down the mountain. And when I said to the gentleman who's a physician who runs the program and also, guides the machines, how much does one of these cost? He said, well, it's a fair amount of money. And he said it's $30,000 per ski bucket, you know. And it just made me tear up and feel so appreciative because it puts into context some of my money goals. You know, I thought, how cool would it be? Wouldn't it be nice if I could write a $300,000 check and buy 10 of those and put them all throughout the valley here or over in Park City, or, you know, or do a challenge or something like that to give people a real lived experience of what it feels like to do something that I just do, you know, on a daily basis throughout the winter. So the point of all of that was it really put into context my money goals and the things that I wanted to do. So I thought I would share that with you. I shared it with my TIR group, but it gives you a perspective of things that we take for granted that other people don't have, and then the power that we can have in achieving our money goals. So that was also part of my win for the week. So thanks for bearing with us on all of that. But how many people have listened to this lesson? All right, very good. Hold on. So what I loved about this lesson, and then I want your feedback, and Kathy, I know you have to go, so I want your feedback first. We tend to think about, my takeaway from this is I tend to think about achieving those big goals as doing these big Herculean things like launching a website or, you know, giving talks or doing all these different things, all of which are so important. However, what I really love about this is that they're talking about doing small things in a big way, doing small things while on a consistent basis that are taking you in the direction of achieving your goals. And he talks about it here when he, you know, when Bob first got with Earl, you know, he would always ask Earl some really well-placed questions like, Earl, how do you manage time? And Earl's like, we don't manage time, we manage activity. Everybody gets the same amount of time. But how are you managing your human activity within that?
Mm-hmm.
And so I want you to really think throughout this week and hopefully for the rest of your life about, he has us go through this exercise where we reflect on how do we spend our time? And then how could we shift that to do what he says are the 6 goal achieving activities and start with those every day. You know, before you go to bed at night, think about your goal. What am I going to do tomorrow? 6 things I could do. Now, 6 to me seems like a lot. I think that can be overwhelming to people. If it feels good to you to have a placeholder for 6 things, but order them in the order of importance, meaning picking up your dry cleaning is not a goal achieving activity unless you're going to, you know, the Cinderella ball. And then in that case, you do need to pick up your dry cleaning. But what can you do that's high leverage activities every single day that's going to keep moving the ball down the field, so to speak, right? So for example, if you want to write a book, Kathy, you've written a book.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you must have prioritized every day
you have
writing, right?
You have to be very focused.
A little bit, a lot, right?
Very disciplined. Mm-hmm.
Right. So, you know, often our paradigms just pull us along and we get going on the day to day, and all of a sudden we go to bed at night, we're like, shoot, I didn't do that one thing that I know would have helped me push the ball down the field. And it's good if we can do it, you know, day by day by day, but the more we do it consistently on a daily basis, that's where we start to get momentum. That's where we start to get traction. And I think the biggest thing that I have struggled with, and I don't know if this resonates, is this momentum issue. And there's certain projects I've been working on that I feel like Groundhog's Day. You know, like I start, I give it a big push, and then I stop. And then I start, give it a big push, and I stop. I'm not presuming that's the case for you. But for me, the takeaway for this is to really get into the feeling of my wish fulfilled, like getting into the emotional space of it, inspired, and then downloading what would be, if 6 feels like too many, 3 goal achieving activities that I could do tomorrow. And don't stop there. Put it in your calendar, put it in your diary, because if it's not in there, it won't just get fit in, right? Like studying. I'm doing my studying first thing in the morning now. I'm on this Zoom at 6:30 every morning, Mountain Time. You're all welcome to join me. But if you don't plan it, it won't happen. So the big thing about this, Bob talks about those 6 goal achieving activities, and Kathy, you probably recall him. I have one in the other room, having that piece of paper in his lapel, remember?
Yes.
And that's what he would write down his every day. He had a fresh piece of paper. I think he had his printed that would have, James Allen, the Serenity chapter from James Allen's As a Man Thinketh on one side, and then 6 goal achieving activities on the next side. And he would write that down every night before he went to bed. And then he would get up the next day, have it in his journal when he was going to start working on the first thing. And he'd work on that first thing as far as he could take it, and then move to the second thing. And then at night, he took it a step further, and he would ask himself, and this was shared with me by his former senior vice president of sales, Arash Basogi, did I act in alignment with a person who is on the path of that worthy ideal? So what are the takeaways here? The biggest thing that I think is not embodied in this, but is intuitive to me, is there's a difference between just going through the motions and taking action and taking inspired action, right? So both will work, but it's like plugging in the vacuum before you run the vacuum over your floor. It's more effective if you're plugged into the source of all that is. So how do we do that? We've done that before in this group, where you get quiet, and it's effective if we do this in the morning and the evening anyway, because that's when the handoff from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind in the evening, and the reverse, the subconscious mind to the conscious mind. So what if for this week you start to establish the habit of, before you go to bed, you sit there quietly, you think about your goal, you read it, you think about it, and you see yourself and feel yourself as the person who's so grateful for having achieved that goal, and then ask for guidance. What are 3 things I could do tomorrow to advance this? Ask for inspired action. And whatever you get, write it down, and in earnest, get on it the next day. Doing the process again, though, will really put some heat on it, where you wake up and you think about it. I mean, for me, my financial goals are more prescient than ever, because I do want to give money. That's a big part of my thing. When I think about the money for myself, yay. But, being able to buy some of those skis for people, or bikes, or things like that, that just lights my soul on fire. So getting excited, getting into the energy of your goal achieved is really going to help. Does that make sense? So Kathy, I know you have to go, so we want to hear from you. What do you think about all this?
I totally support you on this. Totally.
Well,
Okay. I do write my 6 achieving goals most days. And then I check them off at night. And sometimes
Perfect.
there's even 12 that I get.
Okay. Well,
to just get things done.
Right.
I'm finding, though, I need to really incorporate more discipline into my life. I can get distracted, and I think it's the discipline that keeps you accomplishing things.
Of course. Oh, of course.
You?
I think it's discipline. Bob talks about that in terms of giving yourself a command and following it.
Yeah.
And he said many days you have to do it over and over and over again until you build the habit.
Yes.
Then habit is God's way of making good
Right.
permanent in our lives. Like once you, I don't have a big debate every night of whether I'm going to brush my teeth,
No,
right? Or wash my face. Girl, wash your face. I don't have that big debate. But when you say you want to have more discipline, how does that look to you, or how would that feel to you? And what would it produce, more importantly?
more focus.
Okay.
Like if I really, every day write down these 6 things and don't let outside circumstances detract me,
Right.
then I can really get
Yeah.
focused. Like
Yeah.
my refrigerator broke today, and that is so distracting because you
Right.
lose everything in it. It takes hours to clean it out, and then you're
Right.
waiting stuck at the house for the guy to come, and
Right.
you just feel like you've lost the day.
Right. Well, true. And we had water coming in our basement the other day, and
Oh,
so
you
that
did?
was that was something. But but still finding a way, like
Yeah.
listen to the lesson while you're waiting for the repair guy to come.
That's what I did. That's how I was able to
Perfect.
get it done.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I think the other thing that's really important is acting as if and being in the energy that it's already done and it's happening. That is so key. And that is living from the inside out, right? That's what we need to do, because when we're fearful or doubtful, that's pumping the brakes. That's adding resistance to the system. So I'll tell you one thing. When Bob talks about the will to do something, he's not talking about like this brute force engineering it. He's talking about laser focus.
Yeah.
To the exclusion of all else, just like laser focus in on it. In a very positive way, knowing it's here, it's coming. And then the fun is finding out, but he says that when we use our will like that, it increases the amplitude of vibration. And what happens when we increase the amplitude of vibration? We are emitting this vibration, which is pulling things back to us. Like when Laura said, hey, could use some help here. Please, very graciously, thank you. And then it came, it wasn't about brute force engineering it and controlling it. It was actually a surrender. I mean, I'm interpreting Laura, and you can, share how it felt, but it sounded to me like you just said very clearly, this is what I want and am asking for. And then expecting positively that it's here, it's coming. And that's the internal management that we need to do. When we talk about focus, it's really this laser focus. And I think one of the things that takes me off task, Kathy, is when I get confused about what's the next step or what should I do next.
Right.
And that's when we can do what Laura so beautifully did, which is just ask for guidance, right? But the big thing that I have found that helps with that is just to get into the energy of what we want, to say, here's the kind of guidance I'm asking for. Here's what I'm looking for. Laura, yeah.
I didn't really even ask for guidance. I just asked for him to do it. That makes sense.
Even better.
Yeah, it was like, I'm obviously not getting this somehow. So until I can you just please step in? Jesus, take the wheel type moment.
I love it. Well, and it can be that simple. I believe it can really be that simple. I mean, before I even knew what I was doing, that's how Dan and I manifested each other. I was separated from my former husband, and I was at this coaching retreat. And I don't know why we were doing this exercise, and it was kind of a dance thing. And I just said a similar thing, Laura. I said, dear God, universe, send me someone, I'm ready. I don't know if it's a cat, a dog, a man, a woman, I'm batting zero here, help me out. And that's when Dan showed up. And I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have the metacognition that I have today of
Was he
how
at
this
that,
works.
was he at that event that night?
No, he was not there. I'd met him before, but he was married. So we were just friends. So I wasn't even thinking of him. I was just like, hey, surrendering because I knew what I was doing wasn't working. So
Isn't that great?
isn't that great? And my friends were all like, you can't marry the first guy you meet after you get divorced. He lives in Detroit. He's married. What are you doing? You know, I'm like, oh, well, he's getting divorced. And they're like, they all say that. And you can't marry the first guy. And I was like, okay, you keep dating guys that aren't the right guys and I'll get with my guy. We'll see how that works. So, yeah. So what if it were that easy? What if it is that easy? What if we just practice getting into alignment and taking inspired action? So that's my goal for you this week. And Thursday, when we have our meeting, I would love to go through this. It's very good, and do what they tell us to do here. And at night, visualize what you would love, download the inspired action, and then do it. Do it scared. Do it if you don't know how to do it. Do it the best you can do it. But I promise you, don't you all feel like at times you get like these zing, like these ideas come in, call this person, go to this place, do this thing. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense. And then you do it and you're like, oh, I see. I see how those dots connected. How about you, Lisa? What do you think about inspired action?
Yeah, you just saying that makes me want to revisit that whole dream I had with that ridiculous flipper that had the spatula. Remember the dream that
Yeah.
made no sense to me, that I thought I would never buy. So I'm like, I would never buy that. Why would I? Anyway.
Why would I invent it?
Right. Yeah. I would never have it in my kitchen. But yeah, I ran through the exercise and I wrote down, what I did yesterday. And that was easy because that was yesterday and it already happened.
Right.
And then I wrote down the things, 6 things. I tried to come up with 6 that I wanted to accomplish today that is leading me towards goals. And I found myself writing down things that I think I can get done, and not necessarily the things that are of priority that are going to help me reach where I want to go.
Right.
And so I chose these little, tasks more than I did, any kind of, halfway goal or mini goal that's going to get me moving in the right direction.
Right. Right. Well, I think it was Robert Heinlein that said, in the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely enslaved to the day-to-day trivia, right? Like, and what I think he means by that is our paradigms. Human nature is to take the path of least resistance, right?
Yeah.
There's safety in it. There's comfort in it. It's our comfort zone. Remember the terror barrier?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A little bit of lesson 7 there. So that's in our comfort zone. So obviously, doing what we know to do makes us feel accomplished, makes us feel like, hey, I checked, the box. But keep in mind that the whole point of the goal, we lose track of this too, I think, from time to time. The whole point of the goal, if my goal is to get one of these, say this is $1 million in a certain given time, this will come as a result of taking inspired action and in taking things that make us grow, taking on things that make us grow, becoming more of who we are. We sometimes lose track of that. And we think, well, how long is it going to take? Or, oh, I don't know how to do that. It doesn't really matter. The point is, enjoy the journey, fall in love with the journey to your goal achieved. And in
Right.
that way, oh, yeah, Joni, I will. In the absence of clearly defined goals, we find ourselves strangely enslaved in the day-to-day minutia or trivia.
Mhm.
And it's
And to
because
Kathy,
pardon me?
and to Kathy's point, I mean, it's for me also, it's mostly just, I have a million little things that I have to get done, just that aren't really even related to the goals that I have, but these things have to be done, you know, just
Right.
as part of living life. And so those are the things that I found writing on my list. And, you know, so it's just like keeping my head above water and not really taking, you know, a step beyond that to do something that will get me closer to my goal at this point anyway. Except the bees showed up, so that's good.
That's good.
Something.
That is good. Well, the other thing you can, and Joni, I'd love to hear from you. The other, if you think we can hear you, the other thing that I want you to think about is this: buying back your time.
I don't.
If you can't do it today, buy back your time. How can you buy back your time to do more high leverage activities? So, for example, we all have to do laundry or somebody has to, like, we all need to handle, right, our clothing, dry cleaning, things like that. I am currently driving to Ogden. I happen to, which is about 30 minutes away, to do my dry cleaning. I happen to time it with other things I need to do there, but I'm thinking to myself, would Elon Musk handle his own dry cleaning? No. Would he cook his own food? Probably not, unless he really loves to cook. You know, people who are doing high leverage behaviors, if you're working on a business, what is the highest leverage behavior you can do? And I know Laura has a team because she can't serve everybody all at once. So she outsources that and is good at managing her team. But that's something you can start to think about, Lisa, and I encourage everyone to think about. I'm thinking about it, having a staff of people, unless you enjoy doing that, and that's fine. But if you can be doing higher leverage things that you can outsource at a lower rate to someone else, think about buying your time back that way, or at least making it as efficient as possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Laura?
it does.
A great example of that is making a website. I can figure it out. I can backward engineer almost anything, but it takes me so much longer. I am so much more efficient at dealing with people and clients and doing marketing and things like that than I am. So I hire out the website. It's a great example of that.
Right. No, and Joni is the queen of that. She is so good. Joni, if you want to weigh in, Joni's good at finding people on Fiverr or Upworks or prioritizing things that are high leverage behaviors. But we have to start thinking that way. If you want to have a millionaire mindset, you have to start thinking about, what am I doing? And that's what was so good about this. You know, how am I spending my time? And given what I want to achieve and the things only I can do, like Laura, you're fabulous at, you know, marketing and clients and, you know, things like that. So it would make no sense for you to do the website. Like, that is a much lower financial leverage activity, even though you could do it. It's not a great use of your time.
And I still dabble with it. You know, like the other day I was looking at it and went, wait a minute, this should be the number one thing on our, and so I could change it. So I know how to do it.
Right.
I don't lock myself out of it. There's
Right.
probably not too much I lock myself out, but I find that this go around with business versus 25 years ago, I'm much more willing to have a team and acknowledge that people have different strengths.
Right.
What I need to do, and I love this lesson. I really did. I loved listening. I loved what he said. so brilliant on time management. Nope, we manage activities. That was really profound to me. But I think, I watch my son and I work, and we work very similarly, and we're just moving. We move all the time. And the thought of writing down what I'm supposed to do in a day is like, no, I just get up and do what I do in the day. I'm not easily distracted into areas I shouldn't be in. The worst of that is looking at Facebook every once in a while. But if I do that, I'm usually so tired, or my brain's so tired. So I really have to stop and think about this. One of the things it's coming to mind right now that you're talking about is hiring cleaners again, having somebody come in and do that so that my mind is not occupied by that. That would be beneficial.
Right. And here's what I would encourage. Listen, I have a long list of things to outsource, a long list. And the way I find that's helpful to think about that is to start to view, not that you have to pull the trigger on hiring an entire, staff of a driver and,
Yeah,
and this a chef and
there's reality
full-time
involved in this.
housekeeper and a laundress. And, when I stayed in that apartment in New York, I went out of the bedroom one day and I hear this shh kind of sound. And this really lovely Turkish family that hosted me there, Natasha's friends' parents. And they had a housekeeper who was steaming the sheets. I'm like, naturally, of course they are, God forbid I would sleep on wrinkled sheets, but that's just their standard. She had a Miele, probably $1,000 steamer thing that she was steaming the sheets. So I put that in the hopper. I'm like, yes, please. So that's, so that's in my list of things to outsource to other people. But in the meantime, I'm thinking also about what are the most high leverage things I can be doing, given A, what I'm good at, and B, what I love to do. What are you good at? And what do you love to do? So I want you to think about that. What am I really good at? And what do I love to do? Because if I can pay somebody, I don't know, $25, $35 an hour to steam my sheets, then that's not a good use of my time, because I can leverage my time for a higher, rate, given the amount of money I've invested in myself and my profession. So that's something to think about. If you can't pull the trigger on it now, build the dream, build the life, and then have that be part of what you're working toward. Lisa, you're so busy running the Ascended Dog, that that you're like, I don't wash my own clothes anymore. And so you find someone who loves to do it, that you can pay as well as you want, and and you have a happy staff. So that's something to think about too, and think about your future self. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm earning X, Y, and Z. I'm doing A, B, and C to help people. Therefore, all this other stuff, to your point, Lisa, the dry cleaning does have to be picked up. The floor needs to be vacuumed. The dog needs to be walked and fed. So it's important to think about and future pace. Well, what does that look like? Because, we're preparing for the future, right? My friends, one of my best friend's daughter just had a baby. Well, when people, are in that position, they start to buy cribs and they, get diapers and they do all these things. Well, likewise, we need to prepare for what's coming. What do you think, Jenny? What do you have to say about this?
Oh, there we go. Well, that quote kind of stopped me in my tracks, because I think I prefaced this whole conversation by saying that I felt like I was progressing toward a worthy ideal. However, I do also acknowledge that I've put a lot of my own personal things, including my business, on the back burner, and I am physically exhausted literally every day, but yet I have this sense of calm, that I'm here for a very specific purpose. I'm working on that specific purpose, and I'm making progress on that. But a lot of how I spend my days right now are very different than how I spent my days, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And a lot of it is in what one might consider trivial stuff. You might hear dogs barking in the background. For example, I spent a long time.
Well, we all love our pets and our, and the things we do and spending time with the people we love. But I think, I think the point of this, and it's a good point, Joni, is, I think of going back a few lessons about a worthy ideal, where Bob talks about, and Earl talk about, if a captain of a ship is sailing toward a GPS waypoint, like I grew up on the Great Lakes boating, so we would go up the coast and go into port. And if we don't have a very specific vision of where we're going, it's easy to get pulled off tracks. The waves can pull us off tracks. The weather can pull us off track. Other people can pull us off track. I mean, if you have kids, that can pull you off track. I know that quite well myself. But the big thing is, even if we're doing other activities, the really important thing is managing the energy system inside of us. Because if you recall that video that Bob did, where he talks about co-creation or the creative process, we're always creating something. We're always transmuting energy to and through us. Remember that? That's one of the laws. I was just, Lisa, you'll get a kick out of it. Lisa did. And Joni, I don't know if you did, The Science of Getting Rich. We just were talking about the laws, the metaphysical universal laws. And one of them is energy is. Energy is. Energy is. Everything is energy. God is, so everything is energy. And we are constantly transmuting. And the second law is the permanent transmutation of energy. So energy is constantly flowing. Remember that pure positive energy coming in the top of the stick person? Everything is constantly flowing to and through us. And it has no shape or form. That's what Wallace Wattles calls the formless substance. What gives it shape or form? Our intellect, our thoughts, exactly. It's the mold, it goes through the mold of the mind and then drops into physical form.
Funny, that's what that was the image I had when you and Laura were talking about paying people for doing things. My thought was not that it's a task that's below you, or even a task, it's quite possibly not a priority for you, but the overarching concept or vision that I had was that it's money is energy, that has to be constantly flowing. And so if you're paying people to do things, it's yet another level of energy flowing.
Yeah.
Kind of a tangent, but it was an image that I had when you were talking about that.
No, I love it.
But I'll say this one thing, Peggy, that this lesson was really good for me, because I remember having a conversation with you and Dan before I left that said, okay, I'm doing this under the following sort of rules or circumstances that I'm, and one of the things that I said is I am setting specific milestones, target goals, and I will check in. And if I'm not meeting them, I will either leave here or make course corrections. And this lesson has been really good in that regard. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, thank Bob and Earl. I mean, the thing is, as Bob is fond to say, none of this will give us a brain hernia. I mean, right? This isn't like exactly like, never thought of that. I mean, some of it, of course, but it's just raising our awareness because our paradigms become so part of the interwoven fabric of our reality that it's hard to take that step back, not because it's hard, but because it's uncommon. And our lives are increasingly more complex, more busy. Now, Lisa has a gaggle of bees on top of whatever else is in her menagerie. And it's all good things, but how are we managing staying connected to our energy, to transmuting that image that we're projecting in the formless substance, getting emotionally involved in it, right? That's the first step, is to build the image, use our imaginations to really think about what would I love, right? Build the mold for the formless substance, then get emotionally involved in it, further use of the will, right? We have to use the will to get emotionally involved in it. Why? Not because it's hard to get excited about our goals, but because everything in the outside world isn't showing evidence of it. It's like planting a garden, When Laura plants her garden, she doesn't stand out there with her hands on her hips and yell at the carrot seeds. She's not like, she might, but still, we have to fly in the face of the absence of evidence, which is not the evidence of absence, with faith that in fact, if we keep holding the energy in the center of our being, it's here, it's coming, it's already done. We ask, it's given, we step out in faith, we do then everything flows and we're in energetic alignment. And the big thing about this is, and it's what The Secret kind of left out of The Secret, is you could probably, if you were really, really good at this, sit on your sofa and manifest whatever you wanted. But, as Bob says, God will feed every bird, but he won't put the food in the nest. At some point, you're going to have to get off your sofa and go do the inspired actions. Laura sent me a beautiful piece about the movie that she wants to have made. I've reached out to Phil, so she's taking inspired action. So, this is what we have to think about. I know, she's so excited. This is what we have to think about, is what else can I be doing? And so that's my admonition to you, is to spend time, most importantly, spend time every day getting into the energy of your goal achieved. Like, get the image of it and get emotionally involved in it. And then as things come in, inspired action, that would be a good journal for me to create for people. Like, a place for people to do this process of, because most of us, here's what I think can be a potential hang up with all this. We make lists of things to do. And we tend to do the things we know how to do. And a lot of what's going to take us to our goals are things we've never done before. Because why? C-type goal requires growth. So we're out there on the edge, man. So, Laura.
Or the things that we have done or can do, but resist doing, that are scary, right? At least that's what I find with myself. And I'm watching my son do this. He's like, like Saturday, we presented at the conference, and I'm so comfortable speaking. It's just second nature to me. I have fun with it. I'm good at it. He was terrified, but he did it anyway. And he was beautiful at it.
Yeah.
He was really good. So I'm thinking of the things that, that's a whole nother thing. Maybe a question would be like, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? I think there's a saying, if I knew I could succeed in anything, what would I be willing to do?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outside of, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Lisa, I'll get you in here. Hold on a second. So we tend to do the things we know how to do. But the answer to know how to do the things that will move the needle is already here. And that's what we can tap into. That's the inspired action. Bob said every question comes with an answer. The answer's here, the way to do the phone, the way to do the headsets, the way to do the planes. Everything's already, it just took the mind of a human being. Lisa.
So, yesterday when I was cleaning up a couple of my piles, and I do have piles, like things that I'm working on, they just form, and I know where everything is, so I leave it. And I found this old notebook. This is my Science of Getting Rich notebook that I used to carry around. And so when anything would drop into my mind, I would write it down. And I have all these things that we talked about during class. And I had this, it was almost like a very small vision board. And so I looked at that list of things that, I was so happy and grateful now that. And I went back and read that list, and a lot of those things have been accomplished. And I forgot that I even wrote that down. And so, I think maybe we've all been in this long enough to have old lists like that, and to go
Yeah.
back and look at those and see what, was just a thought at one point is manifest now. It's just
Yeah.
so helpful, and kind of gives you, that little extra boost of confidence, and it just feels
Right.
really good. And it kind of changed
Right.
my entire attitude. Really, I had an attitude adjustment based on that. So
I love that. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm thinking of building a kind of a daily thing that people could do, and I'm gonna put that in there.
Lisa, I think we're watching the process take place as we
The
watch.
creative
I
process.
think,
She's
I
doing
know.
you're doing exactly what you're saying. Yes.
It's like I can see the formless stuff entering her antenna.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
it's
it must have been the
and
haircut.
it's thinking, and
Got
I
some
can
of the
see
hair
that
work.
line right from ear to
Yeah, there
ear.
it
And I
goes.
see it all happening with the
Yes.
Dr. Seuss machine. It's and then it spits out this journal.
Well, I have been thinking about this because, there's so much good in here, but Lisa, I love that because you go through there and you think, man, that was such a pipe dream back then. And look at that, I've already done it. And Joni and I, when we were studying with this gentleman 6 years ago, he would encourage us to keep a little journal called Amassing Evidence of Wins, things that we were always amazed at, but never surprised. And I think that's so important because our conscious minds and our programming sometimes gets so jammed. And it's like, wait a minute, like Laura, you were like, hey, you asked and it was given. What if it was just all that simple?
I don't have a great memory, but I seem to be able to remember those kinds of events in my life.
Nice.
And I've always called it taking notes. So taking notes like what God has done in my life. And it's just, it makes it easier and easier to believe. This whole process is blowing my mind though. So I still have some paradigms in there that I'm not acknowledging and that I need to look at because I really thought I was doing it, right? And the money's not in the bank like it was, like I thought it would be.
Mhm.
And the income is not what I thought it would be. And I'm
Mhm.
like, well, then why isn't it happening? What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Not that I'm not doing enough. I'm doing plenty and I'm
Yeah.
acting on inspired action. Something else is holding it up. And it's got to be a paradigm. And it's so easy because I can see paradigms in other people. Like when I do the work with people, it is so easy to see. And they talk and they go through things, and I can see exactly what's happening. I wish
Yeah.
I could just hold a mirror up to myself and see myself that
Right.
way.
Right.
Maybe it's
Well,
just the simple resistance of, even in that statement, what am I doing wrong? Like maybe you're not doing anything wrong. But that the resistance in that statement is quite powerful.
Well, I say it because of my results.
Right.
but yet you're having fun along the way, and you're at peace. And you said at the beginning of the call that you've kind of let things
Right
go.
now,
So
at this very moment, but on Monday morning, I woke up in a complete panic. I was absolutely, I'm gonna have to borrow money from us. I'm gonna
Mhm.
have,
right,
the whole
Yeah.
thing, it's not working. I mean, and of course I
Well,
caught myself and I
yeah,
just surrendered. I
yeah.
just totally
Right.
surrendered. So I wouldn't call that fun.
okay,
No,
fair,
that
fair
is
point.
not a joy of joys. But I agree with Joni. I think we can, I think we can reframe it to be to look at it there's a lot to unpack there. But first of all, we all have paradigms. The goal is not to be paradigm free. Paradigms exist. And once we build new paradigms that serve us, then we're grateful, right? Like, who here can drive your car and drink a cup of coffee? Yay. I don't know if that's safe, but, I do it. I enjoy it. I can listen to, so that's a paradigm. I don't have to relearn how to drive my car every day. So that's a positive paradigm, right? But I can relate to what you're saying, Laura, which is like, what the heck? Dude, I'm doing everything right. What's going on here? And the point is, you're absolutely onto something, which is you're not doing anything wrong. It's just the question is, are you focused on, are you getting yourself into the vibration of the goal achieved? Or are you letting the outside?
Stop right there. I think that is exactly the problem.
Yeah.
And it's not anything except taking the time, because I'm going. That requires slowing down,
Right.
meditation.
Yeah.
Yes, the answer is no. And that's all I'm gonna hear tonight. That's it. Okay, I'm
Okay.
done. I'm going now. It's 6 o'clock. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. But the thing is, the resistance, I think that Joni's mentioning and pointing to is when we focus on the gap. Now, here's the thing. Do you have a gap? You do, because the manifestation hasn't caught up yet. So you do have a short-term cash issue to deal with, but that's different than saying it's not working and it's never going to work and I'm doing something wrong. It's a discernment thing to say, okay, I have a short-term problem here because soon I'm going to have a where do I put all my stuff problem,
Reframe it. So to reframe
Yeah.
that moment, it's not an always and ever. It just hasn't been yet. I'm still in the process thereof. Okay. Let's go
Got it?
back to, yes, I got it.
Yeah. So when we focus on the gap, that it's not in the garage, it's not in the bank, it's not in the business, it's not in this, when we focus on the gap, that's resistance, because that's the vibration of not there,
Okay.
of stress, of resistance. But the last thing I want to say to yourself is, to this end is there's this thinking, this book is an absolute gem. There's this thinking substance which forms everything. And for you, I know, Laura, that's God, whatever that is for each and every one of us. But when you create a mental and a vibrational image in that form, it must come to and through you. So when it's not happening, check the mental image, check the emotional state, and ask yourself, am I in alignment with this already being done? Because if you were, you'd be at tremendous peace. You wouldn't be, you'd just be skipping around doing the next inspired action. You'd be like, woohoo.
Okay, so I was doing the work with someone today, and the final line is really an affirmation. It's a turnaround of what you want to have happen.
Mhm.
And I don't think I ever saw it as clearly. And even though I was facilitating someone else, I always do my own work. It's always
Right.
about me, right?
Right.
But it's the reality factor. So I've attached to the thought that I'm a realist. Reality is my friend. This is what's happening. It's okay. And this is teaching me to say, wait, no, what's going to come is where you're going to live.
Mhm.
That's really bizarre to me. So it is so bizarre to my little three, I'm a triple Virgo. Give me a break here.
You and my mother.
Wow. I mean, if anyone
Yeah.
really understands what that means to be a triple Virgo, you guys would all be sending me sorry notes.
Oh, I understand, and I'm so sorry. No.
But here's a cool, I love that you brought this up, Laura, because if you think of that video that Bob did, right? Think about everything we study, right? Creation already is done. When you ask, it's given. God, the universe, the quantum field, whatever it is for you, is the only thing that language is, energy is. It only speaks vibration. It only speaks vibration. And the vibration you're offering, Laura, God doesn't know if it's in response to what happened up until today, or if it's something that you are literally creating a vibration in yourself of positive expectation and joy and faith and belief and knowing and happiness. The universe doesn't differentiate. God doesn't differentiate. Well, she's just imagining that. Would you look at here? Would you look at this reality? How do you think this came into reality? Somebody
Yesterday
thought
it
it.
was astounding, and I guess that's why I say through me might just have to be where I sit for a while, because I trust God, and I asked him, and it came in spades. I mean, it was just overwhelming. People showed up that didn't even have appointments. It was overwhelming. So I have to sort it all out. I'm still learning. I'm
Well,
still a baby. I thought
it's
I had
okay.
it. I
But
thought
let's
I was
don't
like the A student.
don't listen, you are. Let's not judge ourselves. Let's
Okay.
not judge
I'm
ourselves.
gonna go there because, yeah.
Well, I'm going to say it again. Let's not judge ourselves. I was judging the crap out of myself today. I was going through all this money I spent on all these programs, and I'm like, why aren't you doing better? Why aren't you serving more clients? Why, blah, 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 blah. And then I like curled up in a ball in the corner of my office and had a good cry. And I was like, this is really messed up, man. This is so screwed up. What are you focusing on here? Oh, I'm focusing on what I'm not, what I haven't done, the gap, all of this stuff. I'm like, you're just making yourself miserable. Stop it.
That's why I've never shopped at the Gap. It's just not comfortable, is it? It's
No,
not me.
it's not. But do you know what I'm
Nordstrom's.
saying? But you get the point here is
That's
that
hysterical.
we have to, the energy that we need to handle is this loop. And the way we've been trained is to deal with the outside forces. And I'll just leave you with this image. The results that we have today are a function of paradigms that got formed a long, long time ago, right? Up until this moment. That's old news, right? Current results are like yesterday's newspaper. When we focus on and stay in the energy of placing the order, I love what Pete taught us, Joni, about the Lego factory. You have access to the Lego factory of life. You can order anything you want. You can order a Range Rover, $1 million a month, a new boat, a jet, money for charity, booming business, massive impact, life partner, whatever. It's all available. Everything's available, right? So how do we do that? Well, I love how Wallace Wattles says there's a formless substance, and when you place an image in the formless substance, it must move to and through us into physical reality. That's what that lesson was from Bob. Everything starts in spirit. Everything that ever was, is, or will be is evenly present in all places and all time. God included, right? So just think of it this way. What we want to make sure we're doing is ordering it the way we want it versus
So
existence.
I just got a download, and it was that the process is as important as what you think the bank account is. And what I'm learning and what Chase is learning and how we're learning to get there, not that it's by us, but there's definitely growth, personal growth, and all of that is just as important as the money in the bank. And the money in the bank will come. So
Yes.
yeah, but see that is just inspiration. That's not my
Amen, sister.
Isn't
yeah.
that great?
Yes, sister.
You know, there was a story, I forgot who told it, you know, of people going on a rafting trip. And, you know, the rafting trip is exciting. Actually, we're going on a rafting trip in August, and because the rivers are going to be so high, it will be exciting. You know, and you have to sign all these waivers, and there's excitement, and the boat might tip over, and there's all this stuff, you know, but what's the alternative? They keep the boat on the truck and drive us to the destination.
Oh, great point. I love that.
We'd miss the ride. We'd miss the memories. To your point, you inspired that, Laura.
Yeah,
Look what's happening with you and your son.
oh my gosh, beautiful stuff.
I know. So let's focus on that. You
Yeah.
too, Lisa. Focus on your bees and your business, your
I
bees
love
and
your
bees.
Italian bees.
Yeah,
Yes.
they talk like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Your bees,
Little
your
wee
bees
thing.
knees.
You giving me something, I give you honey.
Yeah.
They're very
I
laid
just
back.
thought of something.
They
It's called
take a
the bee's
siesta between
knees
2 and
as opposed
4.
to the bee's knees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I
do
love
it.
it.
No, I said it's the bee's knees as opposed to the business. It's the bee's knees.
Yeah.
It's your new. It could be your new tagline.
I love that. That's so great. So have fun with the journey, have fun with this. And I think the biggest takeaway from all of this is to start to step vibrationally, obviously, energetically into the person you would be when your goal's achieved, and start to think about, how am I going to act? How am I going to function? You know, how am I going to sit there and say, oh, I don't want to buy a, you know, $5 coffee? Well, your millionaire self would buy a $5 coffee. Or, you know, what can you start doing on a daily basis to start thinking about, even if you can't do it today, build out, you know, I have on my list of inspired things, someone to steam my sheets. And to your point, Joni, someone's going to love doing that. I am a great, you know, person to, you know,
Totally
to interact with, and someone that for
circulate
whom
the energy of money.
circulate the energy of money. So, you know, we have to rethink what we're doing here, right?
Can I say one more thing that,
Of course.
and I know that want to probably get off, but
Yeah.
for a long time, for one thing, thank you, Joni, for sharing the idea of having, you know, listening all night long to things. And I just actually decided to go the pod route, little teeny ear pods for night sleeping, because the head thing just was driving me nuts, and it would go off and then I'd wake up. And anyway, but I really can tell that it's doing something to me. So one of my goals is that the whole weight thing, and where I want to see myself. And I started looking at options that I would never consider before. Like, I don't want to do anything that would rearrange my body physically, although I'm willing to get a lap band, right? So I looked at that. I thought, okay, I'm going to be open. I'm just going to look at it. I thought that's a really neat idea. Then the insurance won't pay it unless I'm diabetic. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm diabetic. So I'm going to go find out that today that I'm diabetic. So I go to my doctor. He's like, oh no, you're great. You're not even close to being diabetic. I'm like, damn it. I'm like, now I'd have to pay it for myself, and it's $10,000. He goes, no, he goes, Laura, look at this, just came out. It is the most amazing medication for weight loss for people that have systems like yours right now because of hydrocephalus and all these other stuff. He goes, let's try it. And I'm like, okay, well, what is it? He goes, it's a shot. And I'm like, oh, hell no. But I'm doing it. I'm stepping out beyond. So I did my first one today. And then he's like, it's $700 a month. And I'm like, okay, okay. Because I'm going to give you the first month free. And I'm like, okay. And then, and he's like, here's a prescription, go home and see if maybe possible, if you're really, really lucky, your insurance will pay for it. And I'm like, my insurance is going to pay for it. My insurance is going to pay for it. And I'm like, woohoo!
See?
I'll get down to that. I'm so excited.
But see, that's what's so beautiful is we have these preconceived notions. And I love this about your story, and we'll end on this, is you just thought, what the hell?
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it. I don't know. The idea came to me. It was inspired action. And, God love Trevor, right? Wouldn't it be nice if,
Yeah. Yeah.
wouldn't it be nice if my insurance paid for it? Yeah, my insurance will pay for this, and so you just keep taking the next step. Now, if the insurance hadn't paid for it, then you shift and you pivot and you go in another direction. But you don't hit the wall and fold the tent up. You just keep going in alignment with the inspired action. And that's what's fun. And that's when the miracles show up, right? Like, of course, he's going to give you the first month free. And then it's going to be $700 unless your insurance pays. And then lo and behold, your insurance pays, so that's the fun of life that I want to reconnect people to, because that's how it should work for us. But we have to work with it mentally and emotionally and physically. Sound like praxis, sounds like attitude, right? We have to be open and surrender and willing for good things, to positively expecting good things to come. And the hardest part for me has been the subtlety of directing my energy and my attention and my intention, and using my will to keep being her, to keep stepping out as her, to keep expressing more of myself. But I love that it's about the journey versus, I didn't get it to happen, so therefore I'm shit, and the end.
Well, and you keep on saying it's not it's not mine for the when or the how.
Right.
But I'm looking at the when, going, it's not here now. So, oh, that's right. I'm not in charge of the when. Well, maybe I want to be in charge of the when.
You want to be in charge of the process.
I want to be in charge of everything, Peggy.
I know. I'm a former poster child for control. Trust me.
Except for
if I could fly the plane myself, I would do it. That's part of why I don't like flying. But you know what? Now I'm just like, they're on the pointy end. They want it to be up in the air as badly as I do. Out of my hands, man. Do a little tapping, all is well. So, but this is an important part of it. I just want to end on this. This is an important part of
Stop
it,
barking.
is having fun. Have fun with it.
Okay.
If it's not fun.
Well, I am right now. So right now I'm having fun with it. So I have a
Okay. I'm going to see you guys on Thursday.
Yes. Yep. I'll be a grandma that day, but you'll see me. Okay.
Okay.
Can I say one
Thank you,
thing?
everybody.
Yeah, of course, Joni.
May I say one thing?
Of course. Uh-oh. Did we lose her? Hey, Joni.
Joni?
Sorry, my
No worries.
Wi-Fi just went
you.
down. Okay. I just wanted to say, Laura, I support, obviously, that sounds contrived, that I would support you in whatever you say. You are gorgeous. You do not need to put any chemicals in your body to lose weight. You are really stunning.
Oh,
I'm just
From
saying
you,
that.
I really
It's so
appreciate
true.
that.
no.
It is so true. You have such amazing presence, and like, embrace that. And
Well, wait, I do. If you know me, then I appreciate that. I really do.
That's
It's a
very
matter of having more energy and my knees not hurting as bad. And really, I am one badass in a cute pair of jeans with cowboy boots. Right? I miss that. I want to get on the horse and not be as heavy on my horse. And
I
so
understand.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that. I love you too. Thank you. I really
All right.
appreciate that.
I love
really-
you all. I'll see you on Thursday. Keep playing with us and have fun with it.
Good.
Love you all
Okay.
too. Thank you so much.
Miss your face,
Bye.
Joan.
I miss you guys. Thank you, Lisa. I don't miss your face. I miss being able to connect more, but thank you so much. Maybe maybe on Thursday, my face will be there.
That sounds good.
All
All
right.
Talk to you
Love
soon.
Love you all.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.